Over the past, I think 12 months, we have been working on how do we prepare for the future and what's the way we can do it. And as the Academy of Digital Health Sciences and I am Raipur, our goal is to help people who run organizations to prepare for the future. But what are the developments that are ongoing, which we should be mindful of? And this entire talk is about that. And please be participative, please ask questions, because next year is not going to be an easy one for people who are not prepared. And this comes after intense discussions with people, discussing with those who are driving transformation, and also hosting meetings with top global leaders who are driving this change. So I see this as a big opportunity for those who are prepared. I think every uh, aspect of the value chain of healthcare, whether it is life sciences or hospitals, is going to be a phenomenal opportunity for those who are prepared, whether you are a middle or a senior professional or your owner of an organization. It's been our continuous endeavor, to get the people updated at the highest levels. So just a few days ago, we hosted our CEO's roundtable where we hosted the Chief Innovation Officer and Chief Digital Health Officer of UC Davis Health System in India. And, we were brainstorming how do we prepare for the future? What will it take for us to be ready for future? We had CEOs of the pharma companies, CEOs of hospitals, med tech, and other sectors joining us. And we discussed for almost 4 hours on what changes are there, how do we prepare. We are senior professionals from the entire healthcare life sciences industry. And a couple of messages came out. And based on what we discussed for 4 or 5 hours, my take to the people was make your product or service redundant before your competitor does. And that's the only way to be future ready. And we talked about various examples, even, about how some of our CEOs in the room had, as Indian companies, disrupted the entire sector and given a tough fight to MNCs to be in this market, and they have become leaders. So I was amazed at the innovations that we have been able to deliver in India. And same way, Ashish, myself, and others, updated people on what's going on. So very important for us to, keep looking at the changes. We have posted key messages of the people that were present in the meeting on our Health Parliament handles on LinkedIn. So if you go there, you can find what are the key message of each person in the room. And very insightful. We are not going to be the same going forward. It's going to change drastically. And we have been on a continuous mission to do such kind of things. So like we hosted the Global Digital Health Summit, with almost 2,000 people in Mumbai on 4th and 5th of October. This was the biggest summit where we had people from, as the biggest chairman and trustee of Stanford, to Dr. Devi Shetty, the CIO of United Nations, to the CTO of UN and additional Secretary General of United Nations, all the top people in the world who are driving digital transformation. So one message that I had for people, and this is going to be true to each one of you, whether you are in middle management, whether you're in senior management, that this is not the age of competition at all. Don't take it like if you're drawing just competitive strategies, you should be actually worried. This is the age of creators. It's a wonderful time for each one of us to create things. And my endeavor working with IM team has been how do we create those creators for healthcare who can create new things which the entire changing time needs, the evolving patients need. And this discussion is all about that. And I'm going to do a little more on that. And I had got an opportunity on 13th August when the Maharashtra State Pharmacy Council inaugurated a new office. They asked me for a keynote. And this was probably the longest keynote I gave, I think, in my career. Second time, probably. One was, I think, in a South American country that I gave where they asked me. This was a 1 hour keynote with 2,500 pharmacists, as you can see in the auditorium. And these are the ones who interface with the patients. So whether you're a pharmacist, you're a nurse, you're a doctor, just remember that most of you are doing your job so well that you're forgetting what is the future of where you are in. So when I asked this pharmacist a question that how many of you know DTX, which is digital therapeutics. Just one hand out of 2,500 came up, which was a shock to many and for me as well. I never expected it will be so low. But this is when the government of India has approved two digital therapeutics, one from Lupin and one from Dr. Reddy's. And just imagine patient walking to one of these pharmacies and asking, can you tell me what is TTX? And they would not know it. That means effectively as the role of a pharmacist, they would be failing in their duty of serving the patient. So when you do not know the latest developments in your field, you not just fail yourself, you fail the patients who come with a hope to you and to whether you're a doctor or you're a healthcare provider. So I think updating with the needs of time is very important. And this is what, always pushes me rather than encouraging me to say, let's try and update the entire sector. And while these shifts are happening, I think it is very important to understand. I had my role as a policymaker to write the health policy, the education policy, and now the Viksit Bharat. So I have tracked the entire developments, not just from few decades, but from few centuries, rather I would say the entire millennium where we are in. So this is how I have looked at the shifts that have happened. So the first few centuries that were there, if you were very strong in agriculture, you could just be the leader. That India made, 27% of the world GDP being an agrarian economy. That's how the shift had happened. Then it came, if you were very strong in military, you were the world leader. That's how US and UK, with the naval power and firepower became world leaders. But, as always, societies change. Then it became trade. So everyone is trying to jostle and, replace China for a trade supremacy. That's the leader today in the world. But again, changes keep happening. Now it's about technology. And I know that when you look at these changes, you will always think that economies are changing. Actually not. There's a much deeper change that's rooted within while all this is changing. And that's what I call, this is a societal change. Society is changing. So don't just see it as a mere economic shift. And when societies change, you have to change too. You cannot be behind the society. You have to be following with what is happening in the society. So each one of you just understand that technology is not left to your CTO or CIO, or you call it, the chief health management information person, or whatever you may want to name it. Every one of you have to be trained in technology. It's like literacy. So this is very important because this is societal change. You will have to change with time. And 2025 is going to be a ruthless year. I'm telling you before we enter into that. And we've been talking for many years, and I've been always saying, you won't last 3 years. And those 3 years have come down to 2, 1, and now next year is going to be a big shocker for many. This is a very important, inference of what I draw with example is if you can see towards the third quarter of 2023, which is last year. This is called the human expert level, the violet line. Technology actually moved above the human expert level. You can see a number of examples. So just understand that we have a wonderful opportunity that more than human expert level technology is available to each one of you as long as you know how to use it. My endeavor working with my team and my partners is to make sure that you leverage all the technologies. It's not just AI, by the way. So a lot of us have misconceptions that, when we talk of most recent development, it's AI. I put a slide on AI because people relate to it too much, but there are many more than that. This is another article I wrote on 11th December earlier this month. But the inference is one, that not being trained in technology, you're not only illiterate, but you're also disabled because you cannot leverage your full potential. So not knowing technologies is also an aspect of disability. Like we have physical disability, mental disability, this is digital disability. I think all of us have to understand that whichever profession you are, I mean, not just healthcare. I mean, I would say broadly, I give an example through healthcare because that's what I know best and that's where I work. But any sector you, your friends, your relatives are in, just let them know that the worst form of disability today is digital disability because that cannot be compensated. Rest all can have things to be taken care of. So this is one area every one of us have to, equip ourselves with digital technologies if we are going to be in 2025 and staying relevant. Some key facts, at least for healthcare, I can say we are the first country in the world to be where the government is ahead of private sector. You can see the numbers tell the story. Almost the goal is get everyone driven by technology, and this is the biggest flagship mission of the government with 71 crores ID given out. Insurance always expanding. Our consultations on e-Sanjeevani reaching 32 crores, and then government has already approved DTX. So we are almost at par or better than the world is when it comes to technology adoption. And thankfully, it's the government that is doing it. And I take some credit for it, being the advisor to the Union Health Minister in the most pivotal times when we launched the biggest insurance scheme, the digital mission between 2016 and 18, and taking the M-Health resolution to WHO, which was the first resolution ever positioned in the World Health Assembly. So in the years that has shaped the world, India has moved fast forward. So if you are operating in the country, you cannot be, not doing that the government is doing. And government is moving pretty fast. So if you don't know these numbers, please make sure that you understand them in a much deeper sense. They will touch you very soon. So why should people embrace digital health? Improved outcomes, data-driven decisions. Patients want tech-friendly doctors, cost efficiency, market growth, career opportunity, and decisions and insight acquired with data. And that is something that everyone has to learn. And that cannot be done through few YouTube videos or few articles. It's a very structured way to approach. Now comes to what are the careers in digital health. So I was the chairman of the first committee of NABH to draft digital health standards, and now the standards are out, accreditations are going on. But more than that, I think hospitals across the value chain have to leverage technology. Now I get increasingly called by large hospitals to tell their doctors how to use technology, how hospitals can leverage technology, in treatment, in logistics, everything. So why should people be called to lecture? I think there should be people trained who could be working in hospitals to deploy that. I can only tell them. But I think this is where a huge opportunity for people trained in digital health is. Whether you are a nurse, you can transition to an admin role, whether you're a middle manager who can get into digital transformation of a hospital, or a consultant. Like in one of our such open houses where the KPMG had said that if I have people trained from courses like you all do, I would bet much better hire them and present them before my clients, because they'll be able to talk the language that digital health is. In the pharma industry, right from the R&D to supply chain, end to end, there is the direction and definition of pharma changing. As I said, software is now a drug. You will have to market it. Doctors will have to understand that you have to move beyond prescribing just pills. Same in medtech. The game is changing from hardware to software. And unless you understand that, you will get beaten in the game. And of course, as a clinician, the clinical pathways for many of the therapies are changing because technology is getting to be a part of it. And which technology in which therapy is something that one needs to learn in a very structured manner. So opportunities are phenomenal, whether you're advising a clinician working in medtech, pharma, hospital, across the value chain, even insurance. There is so much change happening to make a career through digital health, or rather stay in your career with digital health. And I've been talking to companies, and I'll tell you very interesting insight that everyone who is actually in a job other than the founder should understand this. So 3 of the top CEOs have told me that, we will not fire people now, but those who leave will not hire a replacement because technology will do their job. So just understand there is a passive firing happening. In a sense, there's not going to be hiring because technology will do your job. That is something that you should be prepared with. It's a harsh truth. Getting into 2025 and not formally trained is going to keep you digitally disabled to be hired. There are 9 shifts, which is the vision which we started our organization to create an ecosystem. One is the doctors will have to move beyond stethoscope. And then when I say that is, I also wanted to look at one thing is that, when stethoscope got invented, there was a tough opposition to adopt it. And that's the same thing with digital health today. Hospitals will have to move beyond the beds. And I saw this live. I was in Saudi Arabia for 9 days last week. There was a UN meeting happening. And when the minister met me, he told me, why don't you visit our virtual hospital? And this is the vision we outlined years ago when we started the organization. And, I saw a real example of this. This is the world's largest virtual hospital in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. 200 doctors on site, no patient. But they're handling patients across Saudi Arabia, which is a fairly large country. And they're doing exceptional job. And so this is the reality. Every hospital, and I've been always telling in the course we run for hospital founders and CEO that you could grow your hospital without growing a number of beds. And that is exactly where things are moving. And we could see a live example of that virtual hospital and the world's largest. Pharmaceutical industry will have to move beyond selling pills. And that's what I said. DTX is one, but there are multiple things that one has to do. It's not just the DTX. And medtech will move from hardware to software. And that's a big change that we are seeing. That's where companies that are aware of what they can do, they are giving the biggest challenge to companies like GE, Siemens, and others. That's how they're leveraging the new tech into their products. And patients are also moving from episodic care to preventive and holistic care. So that's something that every care provider, every clinician has to be aware of. I mean, you cannot ignore the patient who we serve as a healthcare system. And payers will move from cost to value. You will see that increasingly. In fact, most of the people say it's the government that changes healthcare. My belief is that insurance will change healthcare more than government because they're going to pay for it. Even government is going to be insurance provider. That's what it is. So increasingly, people are going to ask for value out of what is spent. And that has to be monitored. And finally, healthcare will move from 4 walls to 5 fingers. That's how the care delivery is happening. And finally, that is what will help us move from healthcare to health. Technology will drive that. So, to accomplish our vision, what we did is early on, in 2019, I got global leaders, and you can see that from all over the world. From India, it is Dr. Devi Shetty, who is a big evangelist of digital health. The next to him is Dr. Pratap, who was the key man in the Estonian government to digitize Estonia, which is a 100% digitized country. And next to him is Dr. Richard Alvarez, who ran Canadian government's foray into digitizing their healthcare. He was the founding president and CEO of Canada Infoway, which is the government enterprise. So we launched the Academy of Digital Health Sciences to prepare people. And we're probably very much on time in 2019 to say that we got to prepare people. And all of you today understand that where technology has come to us. There's actually very close to embracing us. We are not embracing technology, but technology will not wait for us. So we started in 19 to do our job of training people on technology-driven care, even founders and CEOs of hospitals. So we run 2 of these programs. One is the postgraduate certificate and diploma program in digital health. It's fully online, the 4th batch of people for which admissions are on. And it's jointly offered by IIM Raipur and Academy of Digital Health Sciences. What we have done, interestingly, is for busy people is to learn it while on the move. So on an app, on a computer, anytime. One can't have an excuse to be prepared for the future. As we are ending 2024, and as you enter into 2025, if you cannot spend 1 hour a week, 2 hours a week on your being updated, then one is actually not doing justice to the profession for which they want to make a career or be on the top. So I think this is what we have done, is to bring that convenience, is learn as you go. Of course, come over for 3 days at our wonderful IIM campus, one of the best colleagues to meet at the immersion program. But essentially, one becomes a certified digital health professional. And this is a proprietary program, I would say, with all the IP. And it's the only one in the world where you actually certified to be in digital health and to probably do roles that you are supposed to as digital health professionals. An executive alumni status with IIM Raipur and accredited by CPD Standards Office in UK, which has its own trigger for giving CPD standards. And one of the biggest differentiators that we have had is very clear in the vision that this will not be just another course. I do not want to be any other Indian university or US or European university, to give courses because of our brand. We want to give courses for the value and the leaders it will create. We are about creating leaders. And you would see, and these are some of the faculty, not all. I mean, if you look at every faculty, we have one, uh, you know, I would say benchmark for them. They would have either created the domain or would have substantially contributed to change the shape of healthcare worldwide. So on one side, you have Dr. Anand Iyer, who has been the pioneer and called the father of digital therapeutics, got the first digital therapeutics approved by US FDA. So he teaches digital therapeutics. Mr. Bakul Patel, who set up the digital health at the US FDA, led it, now leads Google globally for strategy. He's the one who coined the term software as a medical device. He teaches software as a medical device. Dr. Deepak Kalra runs European Institute for Innovation through Health Data, one of the top leaders in the world on how you leverage data for healthcare. He teaches data. Dr. Dale Elverson on how you leverage telemedicine. That's what she's been doing in his University of New Mexico. And on the blockchain is Dinu, who is the CIO of United Nations Joint Staff Pension Fund, who has implemented blockchain across the UN system. So every single person you see on the screen, whether it is robotics or Roman Devancanzo, who created Da Vinci arms, everyone is a pioneer in the field of creating digital health. And same we have done for the hospital course. Even in our hospital course, and not every hospital that started in India succeeded. In fact, I was at the FANA meeting earlier this month on 8th, and I was told every week one hospital shuts down because people start hospitals, but they do not know how to run it well. So even the hospital course is taught by people who have successfully created a large chain out of few beds in their home or clinics and end up listing up as one of the biggest chains. So in our contact program, you meet all those wonderful people, including very senior officials of the government on the way government is driving our ecosystem. So our last convocation was through Dr. Rajiv Raghuvanshi, the Drugs Controller General of India. And we had a contact program, and you will see very senior doctors, 50 years of medical practice, 30 years, 40 years of medical practice. And they were super excited to have created their own chatbots while in the program, and they showcased of what they did. So the beauty of this is you are creators, as I said. We do not want you to be just passive. There is no student here. It's a leadership creation. So you become creator after doing, whether it's the program for the digital health or the program for the founders and CEOs. They need to be creators of what we need in current times. And of course, we promote the profiles of our people who have done. This is the broad mix of people who've joined the courses. So you can see a very equal split, surprisingly. C-suite executives are 44.21, and so are senior medical professionals. And then you have techies also joining the course, which is for me a surprise. So I'm just shocked. Like I wanted actually doctors to do the course, which they are in majority, but technologies are also joining the course. Very senior technology professionals are joining the course to get digital health as their specialization. Healthcare consultants are joining, scientific writers, and even academicians. Senior academicians or HODs and directors are a part of this course, including deans of top medical colleges. They're like a wide mix of a cohort that you will be a part of, even as a batch or as an alumni. And these are fairly accomplished people. I've already talked about this on this course and executive leadership program for founders and CEOs of hospitals. And today we are joined by Dr. Abhishek Saran, who is a part of this course. This is for 24 weeks, fully online, but there is a 3-day immersion program for all courses that we run with IM for hospitals and the digital health full 1 year, so that people actually get a complete immersion in the course that they are doing, along with meeting the leaders who are driving this transformation. So there are two ways you can approach your 2025. Go with the flow. You may drown or sink, or plan ahead meticulously. I would not only say that do this course, go and do course anywhere you find it's worth it. Our course differentiates in being driven by people who have been the part of driving the domain, leading successful hospital. And this is a very interesting slide, and I would want you to watch it. Most of you today who are joining this through your system computers, you will have this logo of Intel inside. And very interesting that we had Gordon Moore, who created the Moore's law, where people used to say that the computing power changes every 24 months. and he was known as chairman emeritus founder of Intel. And Intel became so big, so prominent. Every system, every device used Intel technology, Intel chips. But it decided to stay where it is, saying, we are the biggest, no one can touch us. So what happened is that 2 consecutive quarters they have posted a loss, and the last quarter was 16.6 billion quarterly loss, biggest ever. They have decided to retrench, and Pat Gelsinger, who's the outgoing CEO, has already stated will not be back to competition anytime soon. So if you are the biggest, if you are the brightest today, sorry to say, don't become Intel. Don't say will not be back to competition, because if you're not keeping in sync with time, as an organization as big as Intel could, even Google had the same issue. Google was very much going to be out of business the moment this bright chap came in. No one knew him 4 or 5 years ago. Everyone has gone to him. Now, whether it's Apple or any phone, they're using his technology. Microsoft invested $10 billion in a startup, and this is going to be the most valuable company. So the point to this slide is, no matter how big, bright, or accomplished you are in 2024, the pathway is either Intel or OpenAI. And that only means that you are going to be structurally prepared without talking much about, like Sam never spoke about what he was doing. Suddenly he appeared on the screen, and then every company started running to him, let's partner. And in fact, Google, which was the most prominent search engine in the world with complete monopoly, was actually at the threat of being ousted by open search. And if that big companies like Intel and Google are under threat, I see no reason why you shouldn't be scared. But at the same time, if you're prepared, then the challenge becomes your opportunity. So decide well. And this is my final message. The market dynamics are changing. Business models are changing. Care delivery models are changing. Clinical pathways are changing because people are integrating technology in the clinical pathways. Customer profiles are changing. So I think all of you need to keep learning in a very structured manner. Don't think that I did my master's from the best institution. I did my postdoc, so I'm most qualified. Actually, technology is a great leveler. In one of our batch, I have a dean of an academic institution in the same batch. I have a student who 27 years back was taught by the same dean. Both are in the same batch. Both are wanting to be in sync with the time. And this is what is happening in our course. I'm sure that this also gives a very strong message that whether you're a student of today or you're a teacher of today, you both are student for the future. And that is where I encourage you all to keep pursuing your upskilling in a very structured manner. We have our part done it to help you be prepared. Now you need to be doing this